Yeah, all right. This is a short play by Robert Anderson, who wrote 4 short plays called, the first one was Shock of Recognition, second one is The Footsteps of Doves, the third one, I'll Be Home for Christmas, and this one called I'm Herbert. Now in play reading, we very often don't have enough men to do men and women to do women, so we do mix and match. So I'm going to ask Sharon to play the man's part of Herbert. And Sylvia can play Muriel.
I have to get up.
You have to get up.
Gosh, that was cruel.
You okay?
Yeah, sure.
Should we echo everything?
All right. A very old man is sitting in one of 2 rocking chairs on a side porch. It is summer. He is bird watching, his binoculars to his eyes. Herbert?
Baltimore Oriole,
He shifts his glasses, scanning,
bobolink,
shifts again,
rose-breasted grosbeak,
shifts again, and gets a little excited.
a black-billed cuckoo.
He speaks louder to someone off stage.
Grace, I saw a black-billed cuckoo.
A very old woman dressed with faded elegance comes on stage carrying a rose. She sits in the other rocker.
My name is Muriel, foolish old man.
I know your name is Muriel. That's what I called you.
You called me Grace. Grace was your first wife.
I called you Muriel. You're just hard of hearing and won't admit it. Grace, Grace, that's what I said.
There, you said it.
What?
Grace, you called me Grace.
Silly old woman. You call me Harry, but I call you Grace.
Can't you hear yourself?
What?
I said, can't you hear yourself?
Of course I can hear myself. It's you that can't hear. I say you call me Harry sometimes, your second husband, and sometimes George, your first.
I never did. You're saying that because you called me Grace and once in a while Mary.
You just don't hear.
What's my name?
Silly question. Muriel, you're Muriel. Grace was my first wife. Mary was way long ago.
Mary was before Grace.
No, she wasn't.
She was.
I should know who was my first wife, God damn it, woman.
That's safe. Just call me woman. Don't get confused. It's not very flattering, but it's better than being called the names of your other wives. My name is Muriel. Your name is Harry.
Did you hear? You called me Harry. Pot calling the kettle black.
You got me confused, that's all. You always could mix me up. Back then, when we were going to Europe,
We have never been to Europe. That was Harry.
you and I went to Europe.
We did not. Grace and I went to Europe on our honeymoon. That's when I had money, before women had taken it all.
I've been to Europe with you.
You and Harry went to Europe.
I went to Europe with George, too.
Yes, well, I'm Herbert.
We never been to Europe?
Singly, not together.
I think we have. You've forgotten.
I've got a perfectly good memory.
You can't even remember my name. You and I were in Venice together. You're ashamed to remember it because of the scandalous good times we had. You loved me then.
I didn't love you when you were in Venice having a scandalous good time with whichever one it was, George or Harry. Which was it?
It was you.
I've never been to Venice in my life.
Yesterday you said you'd never been to Chicago, and I proved you wrong on that. Your second daughter by your first wife died there. We went to the funeral.
Grace?
The daughter's name?
No, Grace's girl.
Grace wasn't your first wife, Mary was.
Were you there? I tell you, 1 was enough. 2 was more than plenty. I don't know what got into me to try it a third time.
You were sick. And you were too tight to hire a nurse, so you married me.
I got well. Why didn't I kick you out?
Muriel starts to cry.
Now, don't cry. You know I don't mean it. You were always crying. Cried buckets at our son's wedding. Took on something awful.
We didn't have any children, and I don't cry. That was Mary. I'm Muriel.
It's no wonder I'm confused, which I'm not. But you all the time saying Grace, Mary, Muriel.
I'm just trying to straighten you out.
What difference does it make? I answer when you call me Bernie.
I never called you Bernie. I maybe once or twice called you Harry when I woke up sudden like and didn't know where I was. But I never knew a Bernie.
Bernie.
Never heard of him.
He'd be pleased to hear that.
Who was he?
You were carrying on with him when I met you.
I was married to Harry, whom you met, when you met me.
And carrying on with Bernie, but he cleared out.
That must have been Grace.
You were carrying on with...
No, Grace must have been carrying on with Bernie.
Grace wasn't married before I met her.
Not married, carrying on.
She was married to Harry and carrying on with Bernie.
You said she wasn't married before.
You were.
What day of the week is this?
What's that got to do with it?
You can't remember anything anymore, senile old man. Bernie, Walter.
That's him.
Who?
Bernie Walters.
I never heard of him.
You just said his name.
You've been saying it here for an hour. I just repeated
You
it.
said Bernie Walters.
I never heard of him. And besides, I wasn't married to Harry when I met you. It was George. If I'd been married to Harry, I wouldn't have looked at you. Fine, strapping man. May he rest in peace. Oh, what he did in Venice.
You see, it was Harry and Venice.
Of course it was Harry in Venice.
You said it was me.
You? Huh? You wouldn't have it in you to do a thing like that.
What? A thing like what?
Don't be jealous of a dead man. I've done my best to forget him, George, like I promised when I married you.
I'm Herbert.
Do you keep repeating it so you won't forget who you are?
You called me George just now.
A hearing aid's a cheap thing.
See here, Grace.
I'm Muriel.
Yeah, understand.
I gotta take this, sorry.
Yeah.
I can't read this. You talk about me, what about you?
Muriel, I'm Muriel. Oh, well, never mind, I think that's your quote.
Okay,
He takes up his binoculars.
cuckoo. Oh.
Cuckoo.
Where? I wouldn't call you Grace. Grace was soft and gentle and kind.
Why did you leave her then?
I didn't. She died.
Mary died, your first wife. You got sick of Grace and left her and married me.
Left Grace for you?
Yes, you silly old man.
All wrong. Grace was my darling.
She drove you crazy.
My first love.
Mary.
Mary-
Mary drove you crazy. Oh,
Mary drove me crazy.
she was your first love. You've told me about it often enough. The two of you young colts prancing around in the nude.
Mary?
Yes,
I never saw Mary naked. That was her trouble. Cold woman.
that was Grace.
Grace I saw naked. Oh, how naked. There was never anyone nakeder.
You can only be naked. You can't be more or less naked.
You didn't know Grace.
Mary, I did know Grace.
Naked?
Keep a civil tongue in your head.
I never saw you naked.
No, and not likely to. What'd be the point? You couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, that's what you think.
You married me at 70, and you were through then, except for dreaming.
You're lying. We had some good goes together down by the beach.
You and I were never near a beach, and you were never near me in that way.
Old women forget the joys of the flesh. Why is that?
I don't forget Bernie.
Who?
Bernie Walters.
Never heard of it.
My second husband. I was married to him when Harry came along, but Harry went away, and then you came along a long time after. Platonic marriage, that's what we've had, you and I, George, but it's all right.
Platonic under the willow tree that June.
What, willow tree?
Oh, I've been good to you, Mary, for all your carping and your falling off in your old age, because I remember that willow tree. Muriel never knew about it. We were wicked.
I thought I knew what you were talking about. If I thought what I knew what you were talking about, I'd be getting mad. But I know you're just babbling. Babbling, Bernie, that's you. Herbert used to say, how can you listen to him babble?
I'm Herbert.
If it makes you feel more secure, go on. Keep reminding yourself.
You called me Bernie.
Oh, sure, sure. And you've never been to Chicago.
I have so. I went there when my daughter died.
Well, I'm glad you admit it.
Why shouldn't I admit it? It's so. You just tried to confuse me. Bernie, Harry, George, Grace, Mary.
You started a long time ago, slipping, only then you were more honest about it. Very touching. When we went to Florida, you gave me the tickets and said, Grace, my mind's slipping. Take care of the tickets.
Your name's Muriel.
Yes, lovey, my name's Muriel.
You referred to yourself as Grace.
Oh, very likely, very likely.
You said I gave you the tickets to Florida and said, Grace, my mind's slipping.
Well, it was.
I've never been to Florida.
Oh, well, let's not go into that, into it. Pongee suit.
I never owned a pongee suit.
You said it was the same suit you wore when you married Helen, and we had a long discussion about how ironic it was that you were wearing the same suit to run away with me.
Who's Helen?
You were married to her, silly.
I was running away to Florida with you, and I was so old my mind was slipping and I couldn't remember the tickets.
Lovey, you're running a lot of things that happened at different times together now. Maybe you should just sit quietly for a while, Harry, till you get straightened out.
My name is Herbert.
That's right. We'll start from there. You're Herbert and I'm Grace.
You're Muriel.
That's right. Now, let's just leave it at that now, or you won't sleep tonight.
I always sleep.
A fortune for sleeping pills.
I never had one in my life.
And you've never been to Chicago either, I suppose?
Never. Why should I have gone to Chicago?
Only because our daughter died, and we went there for the funeral.
We had no children together.
I think we shouldn't talk anymore now. You're getting more confused.
You never let me near your lily white body.
Oh, and what happened? What about what happened that afternoon under the willow tree? I think that's when we conceived Ralph.
Who's Ralph?
Ralph is your stepson. Good God.
I conceived my stepson under the willow tree?
I prefer it if we just remain quiet for a while. You can't follow a train of thought for more than a moment. And it's very tiring trying to jump back and forth with you. Just close your eyes and rest. Are your eyes hurting you?
No.
That medicine must be very good then.
What medicine?
You see, that's what I mean.
I never had medicine for my eyes.
Yes, all right, all right. Let's not argue, George.
I'm Harry.
Yes, yes, all right. We'll just hold hands here and try to doze a little and think of happier days.
She takes his hand and they close their eyes and rock. After a long moment.
Venice.
Yes, oh yes, wasn't that lovely? Oh, you were so gallant, if slightly shocking.
She laughs, remembering.
The beach.
The willow tree.
You running around naked. Oh, lovely, lovely.
Yes, lovely.
They go on rocking and smiling, holding hands as the lights dim.
We're all going there, everybody.